Hey guys, so today I am working on personalized can coolers or can koozies. I actually picked these up at Walmart and I have made some using my Cricut and some using my Silhouette. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to do the design in Cricut Design Space. So for this design, I'm actually going to be using an anchor that comes from a font, and that font is called Mermaid Tails. So to get started, the first thing I need to do is I need to get my shape. Now, there's the easiest way I have found to get glyphs or specialty characters out of a font that is not something from Cricut Design Space is to go through either the character map if you're on Windows or font book if you're on a Mac. So I'm using a Mac, so I'm going to be using font book. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up here. And I know the Mermaid Tails fonts, the title starts with KL. So I'm going to go ahead and type in KL, Mermaid Tails, and I have three options here. So if I click, I can see these are some specialty letters that I have, and I want to use the anchor design. So it's right here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is copy this and then go back to Design Space, click on my text box, and then go ahead and paste that into the box. So once I hit enter, the design should pop up here, but you're going to see that it doesn't. It's just a slash mark. So I'm going to go here and actually change the font here as well so that it's Mermaid Tails. And then there I have my anchor. So now that I have the anchor here, I'm going to go ahead and make this bigger. And I know that I can get close to 3 inches with this design in either direction. So I'm going to make this larger. And I'm going to go ahead and place this on an angle. Now, I don't actually have to do this for the cutting part, but it just makes it easier for me to visualize when I'm working with the font. And I'm going to place this here. And then the next thing I'm going to do is actually type out the name. So I'm going to go to the text menu, and this one is going to be for Val. So I've typed her name, and you can see the letters are all separated. So I'm going to go ahead and weld each of these letters together. So if I right click it, I can go to ungroup, and then I can move each one of these letters individually so that they touch. And once I have it where I like it, what I can do is draw a box around everything again, right click, and then I'm going to weld. Now, I made this bigger so that I could actually see what I was doing, what I was working with, but I'm actually going to go ahead and shrink this down quite a bit because I'm going to nestle it in here. And that is it. That is my final design. So I'm going to go ahead and click Make It and send it to my Cricut to cut out. Hey guys. So before we get started with the assembly process, I just wanted to tell you that you're going to be watching me assemble the can cooler for Vic instead of for Val. And it's really just because I didn't have enough time for the sealant to dry to film it twice. Here I have my design all cut out, and I'm just going to do a little bit of weeding. And this design is actually not too difficult to weed. I just have to remove the larger rectangular piece and then a small part of the anchor on the inside. It's just the little circle that is captured inside where you would tie the hook or the rope. This particular name doesn't have any closed images, so even though the name is cut super small, there's nothing inside of there that I will have to weed out. So I've set my weeded out design aside, and I'm going to start preparing the can cooler, and I'm going to tape off the base where the seam is of the actual can cooler and cover it completely. And this is going to make the bottom match the top, and it also gives a place for the clear cast to kind of catch onto inside that groove. So once I have it lined up with the seam of the actual can cooler, I'm just going to wrap it around and press it down really well. My next step is actually to prepare the can cooler for transferring my decal. So I'm taking a little bit of cleaner, and in this particular situation I'm just using Windex to remove all of the oil that is on the can cooler from my fingers and any dust that may be on it. And I'm going to take the design that I already cut out and weeded and attach a piece of transfer tape to the back. The transfer tape that I use is actually already cut into these 3-inch wide strips, so I just cut it off the roll. And to make sure it adheres, I'm going to rub all over it frequently, just back and forth, so that the design picks up all at once and I know that it'll be a clean transfer. Once the design is on the transfer tape, I peel it up and off of the backer sheet and then apply it to my can cooler. And because this is a curved surface, I make sure to go over each of the sections really well so that there are no air bubbles and no places for the resin to go underneath. And when I peel away this transfer tape, you'll be able to see the design on the can cooler. I'm going to be covering the can cooler using the amazing clear cast resin, and it is a 2-part clear coat mixture. So in a cup I've mixed a equal part mixture of part A and part B, and I'm going to be using it to cover the entire can cooler. So I have this rotisserie type cup turner that was created using an actual rotisserie turner from a grill and a piece of foam, and I have inserted my piece of foam into my can cooler and turned it on so that I can go ahead and pour the resin mixture all over the can cooler to seal the design. As the can cooler turns, the clear cast will slowly start to level itself out while it's wet, and this is one of the important steps to actually take when using this clear resin, is to keep the cup or the cooler, whatever you're working on, continuously rotating so that it levels out. You can use a spoon or something to try to smooth it out, but you have to be cautious when you do that because you can get air bubbles in your design. Now you can see that I'm just wiping the excess material on my mat. This surface is actually a non-stick mat that I stuck underneath before I started, and after everything dries, those little plastic driplets will actually just pop off, so the mat won't have any damage on it. The clear cast resin will actually take about 2 days to completely dry, but about 4 hours into the drying process, I turn off the actual turner and remove the tape because it's still wet enough to get a clean line, but it's dry enough so then it will no longer run. And I usually leave it running for about another 2 or 3 hours before I just simply set it on a shelf and wait for it to dry before I remove it off of the foam. So here is a look at the final product. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.